What's up, guys? My name is Ilya, and today I'll be doing a quick tutorial on how to use TradingView. This information can be applied to any market. However, for this particular tutorial, I'll be looking at the Bitcoin USD chart. So as you can see, this is the template for TradingView. I am on the Pro version right now. However, I'm using a friend's account, so I'm not really paying for anything because I'm a cheap buck. If you are using the free version, you can still use all the information that you learn in this tutorial. However, you will be limited to certain things, such as, I believe in the free version, you can only use up to 3 indicators at once, and you might only be able to set 1 alert at a time. I'm sure there's other restrictions, but that you'll have to compare because I can't quite remember. Anyway, I'm just trying to let you know that the free version can be used to chart cryptocurrencies, and it's just as good. So I'll start at the top. You have the ticker symbol here. So if you want to take a look at the, let's say, Litecoin USD charts off of Coinbase, you can do that. I'll bring it up. If you want to go back, do that. Right. So next you have the time frames. I think by default, you're only going to have the daily over here. But if you bring this drop down menu up, you will see all these options and you could add your own. Like, let's say you want to look at 5 hours. You could add that in and it'll show up. And then you could favorite which ones you want to show up over here. Now, mind you, these are candlesticks. So if you're looking at 4 hours, every single candlestick, like this one, every single one of these shows the price action within 4 hours. Just the same way, if you look at the 30 minutes, you will see that this candle, it's not done yet, but this candle is the price action of 30 minutes. This candle is the price action of 30 minutes, and so on and so forth. These are the types of candles. So there's hollow ones, there's a line, there's a baseline. Baseline is interesting because you can actually change the baseline. So I'm assuming, if you get into an entry, you can set this to the baseline and you will see if you're up or down. I don't really have a use for this, so I just stick to the defaults. Now, mind you, I did change the default settings of these candles, and I'll be taking a look at that later on. But they are other types, bars. I just like to stick to the regular candles. Then there's a compare function. I've never used this, but just to give you an idea, if you're looking at the BTC USD chart right here, you can bring up, let's say, Litecoin, Litecoin USD, and you could compare them on top of each other. Right. I think it just becomes way too cluttered, so I don't bother. But you can find divergences and stuff like that on these kinds of charts. There's other options to look at charts. You can use the layout function, as I'll show you soon, or you can have just more than one monitor. But yeah, I never used that function. Indicators. So this is probably the most important function on TradingView. This is where you search up some indicators. So I'll give you a few most common ones, such as RSI, MACD, Bollinger Bands, the EMA, SMA crossovers, the cloud. I have accumulation distribution, OBV, on a merged indicator over here. That way I can spot divergences. But there's a whole bunch of them. There's volume indicators, price action indicators, you name it. So you can search them up. Some of these indicators are actually do not apply to cryptocurrency, even though they will show up on this list. Like, for example, pretty much every single one of these does not apply to cryptos. So if you try to apply this, let's say you want to look at the market cap of BTC, if you add it, it's going to give you an error, or it's going to add it with an error on it. So Yeah, it's really your job to do the research on certain indicators, and I will be making videos in the future on specific ones and how to plot them and how to use them properly. So I really don't have time for that in this video. I'll just make it way too long, but I do promise that I will be making videos in the future. Templates, there's some predetermined ones over here, but if you set up your chart the way you want it for a specific function. Like let's say this is my swing trading profile, right? If I wanted to day trade, I wouldn't be using the same indicators, so I would alter it. In fact, I would probably remove the majority of these indicators. So in that sense, I would save this as the swing trading indicator, and then I would alter it as so. Alerts. Like I said in the free version, I believe you have to register first, and then you are limited to one um, alerts. But in this upgraded version, I believe I could use a bunch. Anyway, you can select your coin, the condition, the value, what you want the alert to do, make a sound every time or just this one time when it expires. um, whether you want to receive an email or a text. This really helps you save time. That way you don't have to constantly stare at the chart. And you can react to the coin price action whenever you get that alert. So you can view your alerts on this tab over here. Now I have a bunch, some of these aren't mine, but when I used to day trade, I used to day trade off the 5-minute RSIs for some quick bucks. Um, and I would pretty much set every single coin on Bittrex on the 5-minute chart. And then I'll take a look once the alerts went off and see whether it was a good entry. So that's that. And once it goes off, you can just restart it. Anyway, next we have ideas. Never use that function. Replay. If you want to actually play, some kind of, you could play the video of the price action uh, using whichever speed you want. And I guess this is good for, paper trading if you want to see if your guess would have been right. But otherwise, I see no use for it. Let me exit out of that. Next, you have the undo and redo function. If you press Control Z, it will also undo. Then you have the layouts. Now, I'm on the single layout. However, if you want to view more than one chart at the same time, you can use this. So let's say if I want to compare Litecoin to BTC, or let's say I want to compare um, Bitcoin Cash to BTC, you can do that side by side. I just think it's way too cluttered. I mean, I could see the use for this. I just personally don't use it, so I just keep it on the single. Then you could either save, rename, copy, create a new layout in case you messed up, and load the previous chart. Next, you have chart properties, and you can also right-click on the candlesticks and go to Format. This will bring up the same settings. So these are not default settings. I have changed them, but say you could change the colors. If you want to put a April Fool's prank, you could change the greens to the reds and the reds to the greens. The price line shows you the current price. The previous close price line shows you the previous close price line. I mean, it's just common sense, folks. I honestly don't know what this does. Scale left, scale right, no scale. So I just keep it on default. I think by default, the theme is light. I just chose dark because it's easier on the eyes. I haven't really changed anything here besides, putting in a log scale, but you could do that clicking this button over here. Background, I definitely changed this. I like looking at a clear black background. It just looks nicer. Time zone, I changed it because I live in Texas and my friend who owns the account lives in New York. So we are 1 hour apart. Trading, I don't think I touched any of this, but majority of these don't even apply to crypto. So unless you want to, show your alerts, but none of these matter. Next, full screen mode. Then you could add a symbol. So like, let's say you want to create a list of coins to watch. Create one here. Since multiple people are using this account, we each have our own list to watch. My personal list is made up of pretty much a bunch of coins from Bitrix and the occasional coin from somewhere else. Yeah, but you would just add it. Let's see, you wanted LTC USD on Kraken. It'll go on the bottom. Give you that. Next, you have the alerts I already showed you guys. I haven't used any of these functions. I'm sure if you want to brainstorm an idea, you can probably type it in, share it to the public. I'm not sure why Crypto Core, oh, I guess he's using the account or something. I'm not really sure. That shows up over here. Never looked at them. Notifications, no idea what these are. Anyway, never used that. So here you can publish an idea. I personally hate this button because it shows up weird looking on Twitter. So I use snipping tool. So I just snip, a portion of the screen, and I can just paste it right there. Just a lot faster, in my opinion. Then you can take a screenshot here too, but like I said, I use snipping tool. Change the time zone. And then these are the scales. You could look at it percentage-wise, which is really weird. You look at log scale. If you turn off log scale, it goes to linear. Now, I typically trade off of log scale. However, I do know some people use both log and linear to see trends. Like, for example, if you don't see an accurate trend, or you're not sure whether you're seeing something correctly, you might want to look at the linear side and see if that matches or not. Or if there's anything for that matter on the linear chart. Because, both of these charts could be off a little bit of each. But the reason why you would want to use, let's say, a log scale over a linear, well, first of all, let me explain the difference. So if you're going from, if you have a dollar, right, and that dollar is now worth $2, you have made $1, right? However, in terms of percentage, you have gained 100%. However, if you have $3 and you go to $4, you have also gained $1. However, percentage-wise, you've only gained approximately 33.3%. So the difference between linear and log is, in that scenario, the linear scale is going to show the same kind of chart for the price going from $1 to $2 as the price went from $3 to $4. Whereas in the log scale, you'll see something completely different. You'll see a bigger line going from $1 to $2 compared to the line going from $3 to $4. I could just show you quickly. So like, let's say you have this trend, right? So I just copy this and paste it. So so we're on linear, right? So like if I put it here, so let's say, the price went like 8,400, whatever this is. So it's like 8,400 to 8,670. That's $273 approximately. Here you have also $270 or so. Yeah, so if you turn on log scale, you will see that this becomes way smaller. Okay? It just becomes smaller. Let me zoom out. Maybe you can see a difference a little bit better. Whoops. Well, I messed that up. Let me redo that. So let's turn off log so you could understand. So let's make it pretty big. Paste that. So it's the same. Or if I put it here, I turn on log, you can see the line becomes bigger over here. Toggle that on and off. So in linear, the price difference is the same, but the log shows up, with a bigger price difference over here, because the percentage-wise, the price difference moved up a higher percentage down here compared to over here. Anyway, that's just simple math for you guys. That's why I like to look at the log chart, because it compresses price differences, especially when you get to a higher threshold. So what else? Auto. I typically always have it on auto because it will follow the actual charts. It's not going to let you go out of bound. Now, if you do want to go out of bound for whatever reason to draw something or whatever reason, you could turn on off auto and you're free to roam, right? And if you turn on auto again, it will come back to the chart. So that's what that's about. So you can view, the yearly. Oh man, people calling me while I'm doing a tutorial. Anyway, here I guess you could type your notes. Um, could view other coins. You can write your own script if you're a programmer. So now let's go over here. This is the other important section. So yeah, I'm gonna let you browse these on your own. I typically just have this on cross. You can choose whichever one you want. I like to favorite the ray because it actually extends continuously, whereas the others stop at a certain point. Here, I like to use fibs and the fib extension. Fib extension because it can determine a price that has not been, topped yet. For example, right over here, the top was 19.7K roughly. Obviously, in my opinion, I think Bitcoin price will surpass that in the future. And the only way whoa, the pitchfork, random pitchfork appears. The only way to actually determine what the price will be later on is to extend the fibs. So as you can see, the next price action is roughly 29.1K and then 43 and so on and so forth, based on the fib that I created. Now, obviously, fibs change based on history, so I can't determine whether this is going to be accurate for the future, but this is currently what I'm working with. Next, you have a brush tool. Honestly, the brush sucks here, so if you want to type something, just type text. I use the rectangle a lot to show zones. So as you can see on the 4-hour right here, let me turn back auto. Whoops, what the hell is that? Let me go back. I believe I was drawing. So I put a zone over here. That was my entry point to buy this dip personally, but that's what I use that for. Also, if you favorite them, they do end up in their own toolbar over here. These are just the most common ones that I use. The long position, I don't really use that much though. Let's see what else. These are just text. I don't really use any of these, to be honest. I typically would just see the pattern on the charts. If you want, you have a bunch of symbols over here. You have the ruler if you want to measure something like here to here. They'll give you, the time frame, the amount of bars, the percentage loss, price. So yeah, it's interesting. Zoom in. You could zoom into a specific section. Zoom out. You'd press zoom out. Also, like I said, you could double click and it will zoom in as well. Double click again to zoom out. Magnet tool. Oh, this is a very important tool that I don't think too many people use. This makes charting a little bit more accurate. So like, let's say if I didn't have a magnet tool, right? And I created a trend from, let's say from this point to that point. Okay, let's say all of this did not happen. So you guys know that when you create a trend, at least 3 points have to match. Because if you're connecting two, then you're just connecting random points. So I like to confirm by having 3. So like, let's say hypothetically, this is the trend, okay? Obviously broke out of it to a downward trend, but at that moment, this was probably the trend and it bounced off this line. So like, let's say this was the trend, right? You can see, let me back here. You can see that this is roughly, 5,500. It's not really touching, it's not accurate. If you had the magnet tool, it just attaches to either the wick, the open or close, well, either the wick extremes, which means the top or bottom, or the open or close of the candles. And yeah, so that's a little bit more accurate. Um, like I said, I like to do raise, that way it extends out, but I'm just showing you that it is a lot more accurate. Also, what you can do is when you're looking at a candle up top over here in this section, if you scroll your mouse over a candle, you can see the O for open, H for high, L for low, and C for closed position. So open in this case would be over here, right? Because in a green candle, so the difference between the red and the greens, sorry, I forgot to explain this beforehand, but when you have a green candle, that means that the candle closed higher than it opened. And in a red candle, you have the candle closed lower than it opened. So in this candle, the green one, you have a higher close. So this would be the close, and this is the open. It means the red candle, this is the close, and that's the open. So this candle, this is the close, and that's the open. And that's all that means. That's all that it means is red versus green. So when you're looking over at the top over here, you can actually determine what the open, high, low, and close were. Or you can set, pivot points and adjust that. It'll show you specific values. Sometimes I like to turn that on just to see the bottom, but you don't have to. Um, so that's that. You could also adjust certain values for trends, like in this one. Pretty sure if you format it, you could select a specific price. So let's say instead of using the magnet tool, you want to set, this to, that's 11,734. You see how that matches? Let's say you want to set this to 11,918. Okay. And then you want to go back here and set it back to um, 7. Let's just set it back. But that's how you can adjust those. Also, when you format something, you can change the visibility. So this basically shows, which charts you want to see this in. For example, right now I have this daily fib. Let me scroll back up here. So I have this fib set on a daily chart. However, on the 4-hour chart, I have a completely different fib set. So in this case, I only have the visibility on the hourly chart because I only want to see this fib in the hourly chart. That's simple as that. Also, on this fib, for example, this will be checked off. So that way you can see how I set up the fib, but I don't really like to see that on the chart, so I remove that. Now, for those people asking, how do you, extend the lines, or do I have to manually extend them every time? If you check off this box, it will extend it infinitely. Um, what else? Also, if you want your levels to be on the left, center, or right, uh, I just like to see them like this. So that's just the way I have it set up. What else? What else? Uh, okay. Another important thing is once you set up a trend, like let's say if I wanted to draw this trend again, hypothetically, after I draw it, if I accidentally like move around, I may end up clicking on it and accidentally moving it. Now it's off. Now it's off. Now I messed up the chart. In order to prevent that, you can do the following. Let me set this back. You press this lock function. That way, if you accidentally click on it, it's not going to move. Right? I suggest doing this for every single thing you end up drawing on the chart. Or you could just simply lock all drawing tools. That way, nothing moves. I already have them all locked after I placed them, so nothing should be moving. But let me delete that. Let's see, if you want to hide all the drawings, like let's say I just want to clear charts like this, maybe I just want to, see the EMA, SMA crossover, something like that, then I would remove all the other drawings. Okay, and to hide the indicators, you could just simply hide like that. And let's unhide that. What else? Show objects tree. This you can see all of the indicators that you have placed on your chart. Some of them are hidden, whichever ones are locked, whichever ones are hidden. So yeah, these pivot points low, that's hidden. So I just hit it and hit it back. Let's see what that is. That was probably set at some other point in time. Yes, that's how you do that. This garbage can, remove all drawing. Yeah. Okay, so down here, sometimes when you add an indicator, it ends up either over here because it's an oscillator, sorry. And sometimes it ends up over here. Now, you can edit these as well. Formats. Yeah, anyway, You can change the colors, you can change the values. I have these presets of the way I want them to be. You can also change the size. Like let's say if you want to see the RSI, but it's not that important, you can make it smaller. If you want to see this divergence a little bit clearer, you can make that bigger. If you want to make these both smaller and this one bigger, you can do that. Whichever way you want. Honestly, it's up to you. It's all preference. Um, yeah, that's that. If you want to merge something on top of each other, um, just merge up or merge down, or you could press this function. Like let's say if I want to look at MACD on top of this, or no, let's say I want to look at Bollinger Bands on top of RSI. Because this is a trading strategy that some people use. So once this RSI stops following this Bollinger Band, that's your buy signal. That's your buy signal, right? So there are some trading styles like that. I personally don't trade this way. In fact, I prefer to use the least amount of indicators as possible. That's why I have these hidden. I'm a big Fibonacci trader and also trendline trader. So I just use these as confirmations. Like if I want to enter a trade here, I want to make sure that the RSI is not overbought. And in order for me to jump into a coin, I want to see if there's like a divergence with the OBV and the accumulation slash distribution. Yeah, I mean, I'll be going over these in the future, but that's that. I honestly don't pay attention to this section, but this gives you news. I also don't really care for this. In fact, I wish I could remove it. It's a waste of time, waste of space. Sorry. Yeah, but I think I went over a bunch of things that I wanted to go over. See if I missed anything. I don't believe so. So I guess the next videos I'll be talking about specific indicators and possibly my strategies on how I trade. All right. Thank you for watching, and feel free to leave your feedback below this video or whichever social media I end up posting this on. All right. Thank you so much. Have a good day.